The third is my favorite. It's really time to have a party. Now, once you close and you're handed the keys and you've had the celebration photo and you're posting on social media, I just bought a house, and you're planning your housewarming party, and the movers are coming the next day or later that day, what to expect post-closing? Well, at closing, it's very important that you ask your mortgage company for payment information. When you close, let's pretend you close November 15th. You actually don't make your payment till January 1st. Let's pretend you close March 10th. You don't make your first payment until May 1st. So when you close in this month, you don't make a payment the following month. Your payment is due on the first month after. If you don't have contact information on the mortgage company, what never works is this: I didn't get a payment in the mail. When you sign that document, you're signing that you have to make a monthly payment every month. Nowhere in there does it say if you don't get a statement, you don't have to make the payment. So I've seen clients very rarely miss their first month's mortgage payment because, well, they never got a statement. You should always be making the payment the second month after you close. So I close in November, in January. I close in June, my payment's in August. And when you're at the title company closing, or whether you're signing with a notary or whether you're doing it electronically, ask your mortgage lender to give you contact information on where to make the payment. So that's the biggest. Second part is you want a calendar. If Erica is your realtor, you don't have to calendar this. She calls you to make sure you file for your homestead exemption, which that saves us Texans 20% on our property taxes. Now, if you bought a house that already has a homestead exemption, great. You get to enjoy the property taxes. If you don't file the homestead exemption, well, you don't just get to continue using the other previous owner. So even if the house has one, make sure you file it for yourself, because again, you save about 20% on taxes as opposed to not 20% on property taxes, as opposed to not having it. The other big kicker on homestead, which rarely gets talked about, is the value of your house. It can't be taxed by more than 11% each year. So if your value is $300,000, even if it shoots up to $400,000 the next year, you cannot be taxed by more than 11% of last year's value, at $300,000. So instead of you paying taxes on $400,000, the maximum you pay taxes on is $333,000. So it matters, because your mortgage payment, it only goes up after closing if your property taxes and homeowners insurance goes up. Your principal and interest payment doesn't change. So first is making sure we have contact information on where to make the payment. The second is calendaring to file your homestead exemption. The third is my favorite. It's really time to have a party. You've accomplished something pretty big. You bought a house, and you want to share it, even if it's with strangers. But I recommend doing it with your loved ones. If you're fortunate enough to still have your parents around, and invite them over. It was one of the coolest moments ever, having my mom come in my house and saying, "Hey, Mom, I got to buy my house," and it was where I wanted to buy it. So that was awesome. Plus having my friends come over. It's a proud moment. So don't be stingy. Share it with other people. Celebrate. Congratulate yourself. And then know this: you're not going to live in that house forever. Don't get too attached to it. You're probably going to buy another one really soon.
So in the period from closing on, just kind of explain that, or can you explain that if that loan is likely going to stay with the initial lender, or if it might get moved? I know that mine was changed within like 2 months. I guess I signed with a wholesale lender and they sold my loan, and I paid one lender for like 2 months, and then the next time, the third month, I had to pay someone else. And so just to explain kind of how that works with my buyers, so that they know to be on top of it if it does get moved to a different lender.
For sure. Did your payment change when it moved? Due date, terms, nothing, right?
Yeah,
it is a bit of, it's happened to me before, and it is a bit of an inconvenience though, because it's like, wait, I have my system set up at this place, and now I've got to set it up with another place. So what you experience, Eric, as you know, is your servicing of your loan got sold. And what your buyers may or may not already know is there's a whole other business in mortgage lending and in banking after the loan's closed, right? For lack of better terms, your loan was bundled probably with 100 or 1,000 others and publicly sold on Wall Street, like a lot of loans are sold. The important thing here to remember is that your payment does not change at all, and nor do the terms of your loan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the most important thing, is to know that it's just you know, like you said, in making sure that you make that first payment, you also need to make those payments to the new company. Then they usually give you a grace period. So it's good to know like that you have like maybe 30 days to get your new loan account set up and the auto draft or whatever you decide to do in that. So I just
I
want
was
to
really surprised by how many times, the big banks will sell back and forth to each other. I remember my grandfather, writing a check to one of the big banks and then writing it to another big bank, and then a few years later, he's writing it back to the same big bank. So no one can ever guarantee that you're making your payment to the same place for 30 years. Back in 2008, as you remember, there were hundreds of banks that were doing loans that are no longer around, and no one knows what tomorrow brings, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to do these series with us, so that our home buyers can understand just all of the options, all of the different things that go into the lending process, so that they can feel more confident in that aspect of the home buying process. So, and if you have not been able to look at any of these videos, or if you've seen a couple of them, please go ahead and like this video below and subscribe to Erica Parker Now, and please subscribe to Blink Lending TV. And thank you so much, Paul, for being on here and just all of the things that you've done for us. And thank you, Home Buying Nation. We'll see you soon.
My pleasure. Thank you.